It is estimated that over 150 million vertebrate animals are used in worldwide testing each year. 92% of the drugs tested on these animals do not even make it through Phase 1 of human clinical trials. My name is Jennifer Szartyszewski, and I want you to take action against the horrors of animal testing. I ask that you write to the NIH as well as to sign a petition asking the Secretary of Agriculture to assess the harshest penalties allowed by the Animal Welfare Act and fully enforce the AWA as it was intended to be done. Lastly, I ask that you take action by promoting companies that do not use animal testing in their research, but using only their products. The USDA reported that over 1 million animals of different species were being used in research each year. Animals used in testing are routinely subjected to food and water deprivation, isolation, confinement, addictive drugs, caustic chemicals, burning, blinding, radiation, and even chemical and biological weapons. A researcher only has to state that a procedure is necessary for it to be approved. Animals that are not killed during the experiments are subsequently euthanized. Examples of animal testing used for everyday products are horrifying. Companies marketing fluoride products salt the teeth of rats with test substances for 2 weeks before the animals are finally killed and their heads are baked in an oven for an hour. The EPA tests pesticides in dogs by shoving them into inhalation chambers while deadly poisons are pumped in. And despite an accurate, federally approved test using synthetic skin, the Department of Transportation shaves the backs of rabbits and applies corrosive chemicals to the raw skin, leaving it for up to 2 weeks without any pain relief. Vanderbilt University was recently cited for an incident which killed an infant monkey that was found dead in a washing machine after the nesting boxes had been cleaned. As the executive director of SAEN points out, if Vanderbilt staff can't even clean nesting boxes without killing animals, then something is seriously wrong. How can any of the research results from this facility be given any credence whatsoever? Other reports show that an experiment allowing rabbits to bleed to death after their hearts had been cut out. At Alpha Genesis Incorporated, at least 170 primates were missing body parts, with the most frequent cause of death being traumatic injuries. Other causes of death were hypothermia and heat stroke, and a dozen primates had suffered amputations due to frostbite. Not only is animal testing abused in such sickening ways, but the abuse has led to little improvement in the health and science industry. The FDA has reported that 92 out of every 100 drugs that successfully pass animal trials fail human trials. Adverse drug reactions account for 2 million serious incidents and 106,000 hospital deaths. In addition, 200,000 fatal adverse drug reactions and outpatient deaths are reported in the U.S. annually, as well as over 780,000 medically induced deaths each year. Animal testing has also hindered the ability to find cures. The oldest and most useful remedy for heart failure, digitalis, was delayed from use because it raised the blood pressure of dogs to dangerous levels. The use of chloroform was delayed for years due to its toxicity to dogs, and the ball cage valve that replaces damaged heart valves in many people was almost discarded because of how many dogs it killed. The tobacco industry itself was able to delay acceptance of the link between smoking and cancer because animals in the studies didn't develop cancer. Researchers spent decades forcing beagles to smoke cigarettes and painting tar in the backs of mice while physicians were told to keep their mouths shut. Although at least 85 HIV and AIDS vaccines have been successful in primate studies, every one of nearly 200 vaccine trials has failed to demonstrate benefit in humans. Animal testing wastes billions of dollars each year with little to no results. What little improvement done to the health and science industry is just not worth the consequences, especially when many alternatives are available. No procedures or experiments are prohibited by law, and no law requires the use of the many non-animal research methods that are available. I personally would resolve the issue of animal testing by implementing stricter regulations or just not allowing it at all. Tests to be performed in animals would go through more rigorous screening as to the need of the test and what would be performed. Those who violated animal rights would be subjected to harsh fines, jail time, loss of grants, and in extreme cases of abuse, a termination of their facility. When faced with the facts, one cannot possibly argue that the mistreatment and horrific slaughter of animals is just. I ask you to again, make your voice be heard. Write to the director of the NIH, letting her know that you do not want your tax dollars going towards such cruelty. Boycott companies who use animal testing in their products and use products that have not been created by such means of murder. Lastly, I ask that you sign the petition, simply asking the Secretary of Agriculture to do his job by enforcing the AWA and to harshly penalize companies who violate its protection. Do not allow yourself to be a bystander to such cruelty. Thank you.